So in my course of trying to experience things, I fall in love with Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's deep.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today I have a special guest called Irene, and Irene came to Canada about 3 years ago to do her master's at the York University at one of the top faculties called Osgoode. And after 3 years in Canada, finally she has fallen in love with Canada. So make sure you stay tuned for what she has to say about her experience, her school life, her career, and what she's been doing. Thank you and enjoy.
All right. Good afternoon, Irene. Today I have a very special guest with me, and Irene came to Canada not too long ago, but she has really made a big impact in the society so far. So as you know, the channel right here that I have right now is talking about presenting Canada to the world, not necessarily in a negative ways, but we also have people in the diaspora that has really contributed significantly to the Canadian economy and also had made an impact. So, I mean, after talking to you for so many times and, we attend the same church, I felt like, this would be a good time to actually bring you on so you can share your experience with people, your background, where you came from, and what you're currently doing. So that's why I brought you to the show today.
Thank you so much, KB. I appreciate the platform, and yes, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to share my experiences with everyone. Yes, within the best of my capabilities and like my knowledge, I'm willing to tell your followers and everyone out there what I have been through since I came to Canada.
All right. So let's jump into it. The first question is, so when did you come to Canada and what is your profession? And if you can give us a background of your schooling in Ghana and what led you to Canada.
Perfect. So like you said, my name is Irene. My last name is Awuah, Awuah. I mean, the people in my office call me Awuah. But I mean, it's all good. But then it's a Ghanaian name. It's Awuah. So it's Irene Awuah. And yes, I came to Canada, and I can remember the specific date, December 28th, 2017.
Wow.
That was when I came to Canada.
Wow.
And I came here as an international student.
Okay.
I had obtained partial scholarship to attend Osgoode to do my master's in law.
Okay, so Osgoode is where? Like, which school is that?
So Osgoode is York University. Mm-hmm. So we have Osgoode Hall Law School. Mm-hmm. So in Toronto, we have like one of the major law schools we have in Toronto is University of Toronto, the Faculty of Law, yes. And we have Osgoode. I mean, we are rival law schools anyway. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I had gained my admission to come and read my master's in law at Osgoode. So that was why I came to Canada. Yeah. In fact, when I came to Canada, the idea was to just come and do my law school, my master's degree, and just go back.
Yes.
Because I was already in the legal field in Ghana.
Right.
And I didn't see myself actually leaving my legal profession in Ghana and just coming to Canada and spending the rest of my life in Canada.
Okay.
So the idea was just come to school, master's degree 1 year.
Yeah.
Just go back. And I remember sometimes you guys will ask me, I'm like, no, I don't like this place. I just want to go back home. So that was the idea. And I had left my family, my fiancé. I was just engaged when I came to Canada. So I left my fiancé, my family, and everything back home. And I was just coming to do law school. Mm-hmm. So when I came and I joined the church, Ghanaian Presbyterian Church. I met people, and I decided to experiment with the whole Canadian community and get involved with the Canadian. I wanted to go back home with something to say that I just didn't come to Canada and just did my master's degree, but then I experienced something.
Yes.
So in my course of trying to experience things, I fall in love with Canada.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. At first, I was really sad.
Yeah, just hold on to that thought. We're gonna really touch on that.
Yeah. So
Just
then I
hold on
fell
to
in
that.
love with Canada, and here I am. So right now, I am already, God being so good, I've gained, I wouldn't say stability, but then I am in the process of gaining my stability. Like I'm good, I'm fine.
Right.
Because I've been able to secure like a job in a law firm.
Right. Which we're gonna
And
talk about later on.
yes, I'm already in the licensing process with the Law Society, and God willing, next year I'll be fully licensed to practice law in Ontario.
Wow.
So it's just by God's grace that I have been able to come this far.
Wow.
So yes, where I am right now is a good place for me.
Yeah. So we're gonna touch on that, but just one thing I wanted to know is, because when you're applying for school back in Ghana, there gotta be other countries that you had in mind or other schools. What made you specifically choose Canada and also York University, Osgoode? Why did you choose Canada and not US, Australia?
Right, perfect question. I had full scholarship to go to University of Georgia in the US.
Yes.
And I had partial scholarship to Osgoode, York University, but I chose Canada, and this just two reasons. Because I had a lecturer in University of Ghana Faculty of Law, known as Dr. Tupare, who is currently the Dean of University of Cape Coast Faculty of Law.
Right.
And he had come to do his PhD at in British Columbia, University of in British Columbia in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Then he was like, "Oh, I would love you to go to Canada because I think it's going to be a good place for you.
Wow.
But I don't want you to, but I don't want you to go to BC because they are very conservative, and I want you to go to Toronto because Toronto is very multicultural, that you experience different cultures and you're able to learn a lot from different people."
Right.
So I got inquisitive to like, read more about Canada and to read more about Toronto. And I found out that the immigration system was perfect for me in terms of what I wanted to do.
Right.
And how I would want to, after school, like delve into the Canadian community really easily and still have legal status in Canada to work in Canada.
Right.
I realized that as compared to the US, it was actually really tough. And my brother was in the US and had gone to school in the US. My brother is an economist and works with a multinational company in the US.
Right.
And it took the company to get a job before my brother could get legal status.
Wow.
So I weighed all those two
options
together, and I'm like, no, I have to choose Canada because after school, it's easier to actually get legal status and remain here.
Right.
And here I'm speaking in the capacity as an immigration like legal consultant, something like that, but working in immigration law firm. So after school is actually good to get stability than any other country in North America. So that was the reason why I chose Canada. And I've not regretted my choice at all.
Right.
I'm really pleased that I chose Canada.
So I guess my next question, that leading up to what you're already talking about, is how was your first year in Canada? I know your professor gave you the loop and all the tips about Canada, but you actually coming here and being the first year, I know we spoke quite a bit, but I want you to tell the public, how was your first year like in terms of school, the community, your social life, and everything?
It was tough. It took God's grace. It's not easy being an immigrant and also being in the minority.
Right.
It's really not easy.
Right.
It was really tough. But it took God's grace, it took prayers, it took determination and perseverance to get to where I wanted to get to.
Right.
I remember when I came to Canada, I used to cry a lot. And when
crying for what?
When I'm by myself and I'm in my room, I used to cry a lot because at the time I didn't have any job.
Yes.
And as a student, and I didn't have any Canadian experience as well. And anytime you look for a job interview, they're going to tell you we need someone with a Canadian experience, at least like a Canadian experience of some sort.
Right.
And I told myself when I came to Canada that I do not want to work I didn't want to do minimum wage job because I knew that after school, I needed to go through the Canadian Express entry and I needed to accumulate certain score points with my Canadian degree.
Right.
So I needed to find a job in my field.
Right.
That is going to lead me to that, you know, where I wanted to go to.
I hear you.
So, yeah. So with no disrespect to minimum wage jobs, I just didn't have to do it because at the time, I needed to get something to be able to get something in the future.
Right.
Exactly. So what I did, it was tough. So what I did was I started applying for jobs in law firms.
Right.
And started building connections in school.
Right.
My counselors and everything, I started building connections with them.
Right.
So I started getting interviews, and I wanted to do even a volunteer job at a law firm. I was down to it, and I would have done it. I didn't really care at the time whether it came with money or not.
Right.
All I wanted was that 2 months or 4 months or 5 months Canadian experience, and that was going to help me to be able to get a job, you know?
Yeah.
That was the main aim. So I built my connections, number one, which is really, really important. You can't live in isolation when you're here in Canada.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Isolation.
You cannot live in. You have to make sure you build some connections around you.
Right. The network.
The networking is really, 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 really important. I mean, because if you're not careful, you would actually stray, because you might not know what you're doing is right, and I got people like you at church to me. So yeah, and I got people like Auntie Sissy, I got people like my counselors at school to talk to me, and even though it was tough, it was challenging, because I built my network and because I connected with people who had already lived in Canada for so many years, are Canadian citizens, are actually in the legal field as me, were able to encourage me and tell me which path they think I should go. And in that process, I was able to get interviews with downtown like law firms, like Bay Street. Like I gained a lot of Canadian, let me say in court, I experienced the interviewing skills. I knew what to do.
How was the interview process itself and actually the preparation for it? How was it?
So it was because, my first interview, I was really nervous, just because I have always been in a place where I just, from law school, just got a job, and from
everything is going smooth.
So it was just, so, and even my job I had in Ghana, I didn't have to go through an interview, because I was handpicked from my lecturer in class, and he offered me a job.
Right.
So coming here, I had to go through the interview. I was really nervous. So I got a call. I applied, and I got a call that I've been shortlisted to come for the interview. And it was one of the applications I made from school. So, and we were 4 of us that went for the interview.
Okay. And
I got a call to go for the interview. And I knew after I came out of the interview, I knew I'm not going to get the I knew it, because
why would you say that?
Because the questions they were asking me, I was all over the place. I wasn't hitting the point right on the head. I wasn't answering the questions as like I thought I should have.
Right.
And they were asking me questions that wasn't really related to law, but was actually related to my experiences, like things like that. And I just didn't answer the questions because I don't know. I thought I was nervous. So they were like, "Oh, great meeting you, and we're glad we met you, and we'll get in touch with you."
Yeah.
2 days later, I wasn't hearing anything from anyone. Then I had an email from one of the ladies who interviewed me and said, "Oh, we were 4 of us that came for the interview. And
right.
They had to pick. They had to just pick one person. And pay the percentage. They scored us by percentage score, and pay the percentage. They handpicked another person who scored a higher point than I did.
Right.
I was glad, because that was my first interview. And I knew how I needed to present myself when I go for an interview. I
Right.
knew how I needed to talk. I knew the mannerisms. I knew how I need to compose, like my demeanor, like what I needed to, my mental state, everything that comprises an interview. I knew what the interview was looking for.
So how did you finally break through? Because that's like my next question. How did
Yes.
you get your professional job, or what was the breakthrough and some
Yes.
of the steps that you took?
Perfect. So what happened was, because I had gone for various interviews with various law firms, including law firms downtown and law firms in Vaughan,
Right.
I built like connections with some people. And I went for programs. There's an organization known as Canadian Black Lawyers Association that help also law students, not only lawyers, but then you can also be part of that association as a law student. And at the time, I was a law student, so I decided to join that association as a law student. So I didn't only join CABLE, that's Canadian Black Lawyers Association. I also joined the Canadian Lawyers Association, and I also joined Ontario Law Students Association as well. So I put myself in different associations. And in all these associations, they have a portal, or they have an online where they put careers, right? So you are able to apply. And you're able to see programs or events that these associations are actually planning for the next year, or for the next month or 2 months ahead. So what happened was, this is how I break through. So I went for one CABLE meeting, the Canadian Black Lawyers Association meeting. And whilst it was downtown, at the Canadian First Plaza, I forgotten the place, but it was downtown, one of the Bay Street law firms.
Okay.
So whilst I was entering into the building, there was a lady at the lobby, at the open area. She was sitting down, and I was asking the security man that I'm going to this particular room, and this particular, I greeted the lady when I actually entered the building. She was sitting down. I greeted her. She was a Black woman, so I greeted her, and I walked straight to the security, and I was asking for where exactly the program was being held at.
Right.
And the lady was like, "Oh, are you going to that program? I'm actually going there as well."
Right.
Because the lady is a judge at the she's a judge at the Ontario court. And she's a judge at the OCJ. And she was also a panelist who was going to talk at the event.
Okay.
And so when we're done, she gave me her card, and since then, I've been connecting with her. So I've been asking her questions, and I've been asking her for advice and all that. So she connected me to a lawyer. And because I told her I needed a job.
Yes.
Because I needed to gain experience in this field, in the field of family law and everything. So she gave me a connection to a lawyer.
Yes.
And she asked me to go and see that lawyer, and that she's going to talk to that lawyer, and that lawyer is going to give me an internship.
Okay.
Work, because at that time I was still a student at Osgoode, and legally I can't even work for more than 40 hours even in a day as a student in Canada if you're on a student permit, right?
A week.
Yeah, so as an intern, which I was really glad, and I was waiting she does that. So she gave me, and she asked me to go see the lawyer, and apparently the lawyer she asked me to go see had already sent an application to that lawyer asking to volunteer with him. Coincidentally, yes, and that lawyer too had argued, anyone who had come to Canada and studied law, gone to law school in Canada. There was a very landmark case known as Baker in Canadian immigration law. It was a case that was trying to deport a Jamaican lady.
Okay.
And it became a landmark case in Canadian constitutional law. So the lawyer she connected me to actually was the lawyer that argued for Baker, the lady I'm talking about in that case. So I was so excited to go and meet that particular lawyer, because he had almost 33 years of experience.
Wow.
In the practice of law, and he was called to the bar in the 1980s. So I was excited to meet with the lawyer. However, when I got there and I met with the lawyer, I had already sent an application to this lawyer,
Yeah.
and I yes, requesting for an internship with this lawyer. And he was like, oh, yeah, but what's your name? And he went onto his computer and he put on, I was like, but I have the application right here in front of me. Oh, okay, so Patricia sent you here and Danny sent you here as well. And I'm like, yeah, they sent me here. He was like, you know what? Just, I'll give you a call. My secretary will give you a call back in 2 days.
Wow.
So that was how I broke through. So then I started interning with him. And I interned with him since I came to Canada December 2017.
Right.
And I had this intern job in June 2018.
Right.
And at the time, I was still in school. So I was with him till August 2019 when I had a new job, a full-time job.
Okay, so hold on to that. Now we're gonna talk about that one. So how I know, so the internship, how did that prepare you for that full-time job? And just tell us a little bit about your full-time job and what you're doing.
So like I was saying, when I had that job with Law Offices of Roger Rowe, I at that point I felt that I was not really prepared for anything that Canada had to offer for me.
Wow.
Because when I was there, I felt least prepared.
Okay.
Because at the time, he gave me tasks that I thought was above like my capabilities.
But you have already, but in Ghana, you already were working. So
but I was, because, you know, KB, the standard of work and the standard of work, not to shade any legal profession in Ghana, but the legal profession here is a very serious one.
Serious, eh?
Yes, and the competence level and the professionalism that we experience in Canada. Well, I have experienced both legal systems, the Ghanaian legal system and the Canadian legal system, and now we leave the Canadian legal system in 95%.
Wow.
Yes, I'm not going to talk about the percentage I'm going to give to the Ghanaian legal system.
Wow.
The kind of practice that the Canadian legal system has to offer, if you are not careful, you might feel that you're not taxed and competent to do this.
Wow.
Especially if you're a woman with color.
Wow.
And you have an accent. So it was a tough one for me. Very tough. But this man that I was working with, my thumbs up to him, was a very man that kept encouraging me, and pushing me, giving me tasks that I thought that I couldn't have handled. He said, go and do it. That is why you are here to learn. You can make the mistakes I'm going to teach you, and that is why you are here.
Right.
And when you make the mistake, I will take responsibility for the mistakes that you have made, supervising you. So be confident in yourself and just do it.
But Irene, you have a lot of confidence. What happened?
So, I mean, that was what helped me. And thanks up to Mr. Roger Rowe, because he was the man that lifted my confidence level.
Wow.
He pushed me. He made me go to court. He made me sit in front of judges.
Wow.
And I spoke at court, even when I thought I couldn't have done so.
Wow.
He pushed you to do it. And I like that.
I guess that leads to my next question, is in terms of what advice would you give it to new immigrants trying to settle down in Canada, and also people that are trying to migrate to Canada? So let's answer the first one first. What advice would you give to people that are trying to settle in Canada? They already come in, but probably it could be their first year, second year, or third year. What advice would you give them?
Don't give up. The hassle is real. But do not give up. New immigrants are in a hurry to get the Canadian money, and they're not ready to, go through the process. But it's a process. And you need to just be humble and go through the process.
Right.
You can't compare yourself to someone who has lived in Canada for 6 years or 7 years and has a house, and you just came to Canada in 1 year and you're already seeking to look for a mortgage and get a house. It doesn't work that way. No. If you're not careful, you end up getting in debt, and you end up, making so many mistakes that you wish, like, if you had gone back, you would have actually corrected, but it would have been too late.
Wow.
If you're a new immigrant and you came as a student, I would say go to school, get your Canadian degree. It's a plus one, step ahead of your you settling in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
get a Canadian degree, go to school. I have had a lot of people come to our office and they'll say, I came here as a student and I didn't go to school.
Wow.
Because someone told me I can just go and make a refugee claim.
Right.
And they go do that and it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up destroying two opportunities, because
Yes.
if you had actually completed the school,
Mm-hmm.
and if you had actually gained the Canadian certificate, it would have been a step ahead for you in gaining the permanent residency that you wanted to get even in the first place, as to why you decided to go for the refugee claim.
Wow.
One more thing I want to say about immigrants that are here in Canada, newly immigrants, and those are the words that actually came from you, and I'm going to actually pass it on to other people, is that the first time I came to Canada and the first time I met you at church, you were talking to me. I was like, oh, because anytime I was actually always, I don't know, talking too much. And you're like, take your time, everything's going to be fine. But there's something that you told me that stuck with me forever.
Oh, okay.
And you told me that anytime I sit in the bus or when I'm in a car, I should check the number plate of the Canadian number plate. It says Ontario, yours to discover.
Okay.
So Ontario meaning yours to discover.
Mm-hmm.
That means that if I sit and I put my hands and I fold my hands and I'm just there thinking that it's just going to come to me without me looking for the opportunities, I wouldn't get it.
Okay. Okay.
Right. That was the interpretation I gave to the kind of advice you gave me. Yours to discover.
Mm-hmm.
It is mine to discover. Nobody's going to come to me and just give me the opportunity that Irene just grab it. Like from all the things I have told you so far, I told you that in all these things I had to move, I had to go, I had to connect with people, I had to network, I had to write like my CV. I had to take my CV for corrections from, like if I show you the CVs on my computer, it's more than 100.
Wow.
I had to modify the CV, the CV to suit those jobs I was looking for.
Yes.
I had to take them for like editing, like with my counselors. I had to talk to people. So it is yours to discover, indeed. It is really yours to discover. So when I heard you were changing, I was like, no, don't change it. It's a place to go. No. The yours to discover is actually the number one. Because discover is when I had my God's grace and I had my car and it had yours to discover, and I was like, yes. Anytime I see it, it's telling me you need to move.
That's powerful. That's powerful, Sister Irene. That's very, very powerful. That's very, very powerful. That's very powerful.
So newly immigrants, that is what I'll say. It's yours. Just take advice from people, the right people, and know that it's a process, and you definitely get that.
Yeah. What about the people coming in? They want to come in, friends back home.
It's an amazing place.
What is your advice for them?
It's an amazing place. You will love it. Come in with the determination that, with a determined mind that you are coming here for a particular reason. There's one thing I'll always tell immigrants who are coming to Canada. Be respectful of the immigration rules.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
And what do you mean by that?
Meaning that if immigration tells you to do something, just do it.
Okay. Okay. No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. Be respectful of the Canadian immigration rules, the Canadian immigration system. It is so hard to get back into the system if you have breached the rules.
Yes.
When you breach the rules, it is hard. So if you're a newly immigrant and you want to come to Canada, for whatever purpose you're coming to Canada, the first thing I'll tell you is be respectful of the rules. Immediately you get your entry visa and you get to Canada, know that you are in a foreign land and it's governed by rules.
Yes.
And those rules have to be respected.
Right.
You cannot go shortcutting on those rules because eventually it's going to come back hurting you.
Yes.
I've dealt with so many cases where people have gone shortcutting on the rules. They came either as a visitor and they will hear that somebody says, oh, I can go do a refugee claim. And they will just go do those claims, but they are really not refugees.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't work out for them, then it comes back biting.
Yes.
And they're now subject to removal or deportation. I mean,
what else?
It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking when you could have actually corrected the system and do the right thing, but because of poor advice or poor legal advice, you find yourself in a mess where you cannot even correct.
It's true. I think, you know, like I've been enjoying the conversation so much, and it seems like you really have fallen in love with Canada. Now let's put Ghana back on the map now. Let's put Ghana back on the map. What are some of the plans, or like, do you see yourself in Ghana? Do you plan to go back to Ghana, or what is your long-term plan?
I have my family in Ghana. I have my fiancé in Ghana. So yes, I really would love to go to Ghana, but I don't think I would be practicing law in Ghana anytime soon.
Okay.
Because right now my experience here in Canada is, I love the experience here in Canada. However, that being said, it doesn't mean I wouldn't want to start something in Ghana. Definitely yes, and I would definitely want to like showcase my experiences with the Canadian legal system and let the Ghanaian legal system know what I have learned from the Canadian system.
Right.
Because coming from the Ghanaian legal system, I think there's a lot of changes that the Ghanaian legal system has to do.
So I think that's a burden on us to really take what we have learned and really go enrich the motherland, because I guess at the end of the day, that's where most of the help is gonna be, and that's sort of like our home. So
our home.
Sister Irene, this is really wonderful, man.
That's our home. So I mean, yeah, I agree with you on that point. Definitely one day we have to go back and we have to get out of place, and we have to share our experiences and help people as well.